using him as a carry and combining him with the mage, they don't get too much out of it. But they did excellent when they were using this composition yesterday against Nemesis Hydra.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and the reason that I've kind of been, a little critical on that composition specifically was with the Adagio Sky. It didn't feel right to me. But we have Gabe Vizzle playing this here, and this guy, he knows how to get the most out of this Adagio.
Yeah, and Gabe Vizzle has been excellent on Adagio. And he himself, like, he wasn't working as a utility. He wasn't working as one of those supportive carries that does buff their lane carry. Instead, he himself was doing massive amounts of damage and carrying the team in general.
Well, Gabe Vizzle doing work, but we have Kestrel along with Celeste for Gankstars series. A very interesting composition here. They're going to round it out for Hammer's Kinetic with this Fortress, and I think both sides have incredibly strong compositions. Do you favor one over the other as we look at it right now?
This is going to be a buff heavy composition in terms of there will be a lot of skill shots coming out on each end, and there won't be too much clashes down the middle where like they're diving deep on each other. They will be depending on that Scarf, and they will be depending on both Celeste and Kestrel to like get their skills and abilities out and make sure they hit.
Yeah, so definitely item progression going to be an important factor here.
Yeah, but you're looking at this, I do have to favor like a little bit more on the Sirius side. I think that if Rekt is able to grab that Force Accord, is able to pull Scarf into their range, Kestrel will blow everything up along with Celeste.
All right, guys, we'll keep your eyes on it. We've loaded into the Halcyon Fold, and let's see what Shen Yi and Forecourt Jester have to say about this.
Well, I'm very happy to see another Celeste.
I'm happy to see a Kestrel.
Well, we've actually seen both of these heroes before today as well. Perhaps we've even seen Mozo a little bit later on. But Grand Finals, guys, I mean, like, this best of 5 is going to determine the #1 versus #2 replacement. Araki Zoro, unfortunately, just kind of getting bullied right off the bat there by T-Tigers.
Well, both of the teams were looking really, really good in the semi-finals. I was really impressed by Gankstars Sirius' play, and you're right about Araki being very bullied right now.
Yeah, he's even on fire a little bit, so he's just going to be, he's going to be really walking that razor's edge by the end of this. Now, we don't actually have, like, a glaive or anything to come out of nowhere and take him down, so he'll be at least safe in that knowledge. You do got Rekt now, Fuji as well into that lane, so T-Tigers is going to be the one who has to be careful, but like, we don't have that level 6. There's no glaive, of course, for him to kind of worry about either. Rakizoro could be the just, jewel of the eye right now. He's going to be low. Rekt is going to be taking some fire there as well, but the teams are just going to bounce for now.
Gankstars Sirius, their comps really going to come into their own once all of them reach at least level 6, because you've got the potential for the chain stuns. This is a stun comp essentially. Like, remember when we had the Jewel / Catherine combo? This is the same thing, but a different version. We've got the Quibble, we've got the Core Collapse, we've got the potential Act of Camo. They're not the easiest stuns to land, but if you manage to change them all, they will be very, very devastating.
Well, these guys, if anybody has to chain them, it's going to be Gankstars, because they are just absolutely on fire right now when it comes to the NA. Same here with Kinetic. They definitely had a heck of a run. And Araki Zoro, I mean, kudos to him. He has no more potions, but he's still sticking out there in lane. There's nobody coming up to kind of relieve him of duty. And we even got some counter jungling going on here with Fuji and Rekt.
Oh yeah, Araki Zoro is not looking great right now because Gabe Vizzle is there as well, and it's a bit of a 3v1 situation if he does get caught out, but he is, being as Araki Zoro, being very cautious and staying well back from the any onslaught.
Oh, that could actually be really ridiculous. Oh, Sweet will actually get that 1 kill, but they do trade it out now. Gabe Vizzle, I don't think Rekt is going to be able to get that kill, but they do trade it out 1 for 1. Very greedy play, I think, from Kinetic.
Yeah, they were definitely looking for a kill there, and we just saw Sweet Generous just extending way too far there. And I was going to comment earlier on about the draft. It's really clever that they Fuji locked in Kestrel last, because they knew that Kinetic had already locked in the 2 carries. There wasn't any chance of them getting a support to peel. So we've seen a few support glaives in the past, but it's not really been a fad this season.
No, Gabe Vizzle was really the only one rocking it anyways.
And he's playing Adagio this time.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, with Kestrel, she's worked really well when there hasn't been a hero on the enemy side that can peel. So they've got Adagio, they've got Fortress, and they've got Scarf. None of these heroes can really peel and separate Kestrel. So the heroes that can only really do this are Glaive and Finn, and Gankstars Sirius are the ones with the Finn.
Yeah, well, we need to get it to level 6 as quick as we can. I mean, he's going to be brave looking into that bush, and if we can set up this vision for Arakizora, as he said, all they have to do is chain it together. That's some damage on top of Sweet Generous, and it's going to be so close, but the last of the Glimmer shots not to hit. The core collapse will come down on top of Gabe, but it's not enough for kill, but look at that potential coming out of GSS.
It was a really nice core collapse there coming from Arakizora, landing onto Gabe Fizzle. Didn't actually get any damage onto there, well, much damage onto it as he was able to heal himself afterwards. But you know, he did get some. It was a nice kind of poking away there from Arakizora there onto Gabe Fizzle.
Now Rect is going to be popping out that Scout Trap. He is going to find Sweet Generous there as well, but Gabe Fizzle over the wall with the buffs. Here comes T-Tigers. I think Rect might be a bit too far forward. He takes his time to look for the smash, and he gets just absolutely obliterated for his trouble. 2-1 for score from Kinetic, and I just don't think Gankstars can really contest the 3-man stack.
Well, it doesn't look like Kinetic are very interested in picking up a kill. They could potentially go in, but it's not a good idea to chase a Celeste and just constantly kite back with her Helios and just poke away very slowly at you through that way. So
Yeah,
just looks like
we should actually have poke on both sides, but it does look like T-Tigers is just consistently winning.
well, Rakizor is just having to back away very well. He's just very good at landing those Spitfires onto her, so we're going to have to see a bit of babysitting coming out from Rekt, or not, as he heads down with Fuji into the jungle.
Well, what can Rekt do?
Well,
Body
he's got his polite company, which does give the fortified health to Celeste. So that can keep her alive for a little bit longer. And if he does body block the Spitfire or any basic attacks, if she is already on fire, then that can do a lot for her.
Well, so far it's just not happening. I mean, Fuji's now going to be babysitting this lane. Celeste is actually off jungling. Yeah, they're going to be just kind of tagging this one out. So Fuji and Rekt, well, Fuji's going to get the babysit. Rekt will be here. He needs a little bit of that gold, it seems. He is starting to lag behind when it comes to the Iron Guard up against Sweet Generous, and that's an alternating current at the 5-minute mark for Adagio.
And that's also a fine Sauvignon coming out in Sweet Generous at the same time. So this is a very nice power spec for them. This is a good time for them to be looking for a fight, considering that their Rekt isn't even close. He's had to prioritize mobility and gone for travel boots instead. So he's not very close to a fountain as well. And without a heal on their team, this could be a very bad time for them if they do get caught in a fight.
Yeah, well, Sweet Generous is definitely the one caught. One shot will hit T-Tigers, but looks like that's all that's going to happen here. Gabe Fizzle could be coming back in. He does have that level 6. We still have the Solar Storm ready to go as well, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, so although T-Tigers is doing very well against Arakizor in the lane, it does feel like Gankstars Sirius are the ones that are more in command. We've got kind of double poke coming out from Fuji with his Glimmer shots and Araki with the Helios, and he's doing a very good job of forcing Kinetic to go back under their turrets.
That's weapon poke, that's crystal poke, that's a lot of poke to go for the side. As soon as Rekt gets that forced accord, it could be a very different situation, but so far, again, like Kinetic, they're just going to be putting up this pressure. Rakizo and Rekt, there's that babysit you were looking for. It's, unfortunately, that just didn't hit the mark, and we just going to, again, push and push and push. Fuji is going to have to be the savior, but he's now going to get spotted in the jungle. Well, he will still get the farm, though.
He gets the farm, and T-Tigers is the one that's doing so very well in the farm against Arakizor. He's about 12 ahead, and you know, Arakizor, the famed laner that he is just not quite holding up to T-Tigers, who's actually just doing so much damage to Arakizor with the constant poke and harass there.
Now, I didn't see anybody in lane or on map. I might have actually guessed that the gold mine was going down. Fuji's going to try to get as many glimmers as he can on top of the turret, but so far, I mean, in terms of the cash, it is going to be holding steady for Kinetic. Got that extra kill, a little bit of extra farm, and about 1,000 gold to their trouble.
Yeah, so they knew that Kinetic were on the gold mine there, so they were just going to try and push that turret down. Unfortunately, Arakizor didn't have much energy, so they couldn't get much damage down. Fuji was trying his best with Glimmer shots, but right now he's sitting at almost trying to get a Sora Blade. Just wasn't quite enough there.
Be generous again. You know, it's not a stun yet from Rekt, but he does seem to be poking his little snout a bit too far forward repeatedly, because Finn is always ready there with that quibble.
He's doing very well with Quibble. He's hitting members of Kinetic every single time with him, and that's very important because it does have a lot of base damage there. So I think in the recent update they did nerf it slightly, but the radius has been increased, which is why he's been catching them out every single time so far.
Well, hey, a little bit of a buff here and there, and all of a sudden you're top tier competitive, right? I mean, because we've seen so much Finn in this qualifier compared to the previous, that it does make a little bit of sense. All these little bit of tweaks. Now, we did actually see a Soro Blade there from Fuji. He's coming back up to lane. They're looking for a hook, and they get it on top of the putt, but Wrecked is just absolutely getting wrecked. Are we going to get that one shot on top of Sweet Generous? It's not going to happen for Finn. He becomes barbecue. And Iraqi Zoro, that's a double snipe combo, but it misses. Fuji doesn't actually land his side of the deal, and that's a very dead Celeste.
And T-Tech, well, and Kinetic are the ones that are coming off better in that fight, even though it was not looking good for them at the start of the fight. So that is where the fountain came in. We saw Sweet Generous popping the fountain, which actually kept them in the fight a lot longer, allowing them to pick up the kills there onto Iraqi and Wrecked. We did lose Sweet Generous to mine though, so let's not mention that.
Yeah, but still, I mean, like, you lost Sweet Generous, but you pick up a turret. Like, the gold will still stay within Kinetic at this point. Iraqi, burning to death on that one. Missing that snipe combo definitely feels like a little bit of a loss. And that is one of the hardships of playing Kestrel. I mean, it's such a narrow hitbox.
Yeah, I remember before when the hitbox was not as narrow, but right now there's a high skill cap to playing Kestrel. It's not as easy to play her, and to hit those glimmer shots and the one-shot one kills does require a lot of skill. And this is going to take a lot of coordination to come out from Gankstars Sirius to properly chain all those skills together the way they need to.
Well, not yet. 9 minutes in, game's not quite over with 2,500 gold or so. Gankstars is definitely more on the back foot now. Wrecked. He is going to throw a flare. He will find all of Kinetic here. Do we have all those ults available? Well, not quite. Don't have a Solar Storm. We don't have the Attack of the Pack ready from, so one from each side. We also don't have that safety net of that turret there anymore. So Gankstars, they got to be very careful of a gank coming in from that jungle area.
Yeah, they really do, and we've seen Sweet Generous laying down some really good vision in the center part. So they do know that Iraqi Zoro is on his own. They really need to pick a fight here because he is very vulnerable right now. But it just looks like they are more interested in farming. But he is definitely very exposed right now.
But we again, like, we don't have that glaive, we don't have a Krull. There's not much we can do to kind of close the gap to get to that immobile Celeste at this point. So as long as she plays the long farming game, it should be okay. Now Wrecked is going to throw out that flare. We'll find this gold mine that's going down. Fuji's coming up here as well. They don't steal it, but they do land. Wow, a heck of a lot of damage on top of the wolf. And now that is not going to be an attack of the back, but the hook does not hit. T-Tigers and Gate Viz are going to be a-okay, but they do pick up a gold mine. They just happen to lose their roam.
Well, that was a really nice synchronized blocks coming out from both of them to prevent themselves from getting hooked in by that force core. They're keeping them alive and preventing any possible ace, because Fuji was dealing a lot of damage there with his glimmer shots. Now that he has picked up some extra crit, he will be going for that Tyrant's Monaco build later on, which will be devastating once he gets the item.
And I mean, if there's something that Fuji showed me a little bit earlier today, it's that you don't want him to get ahead as Kestrel, because he can really bring that damage, especially with this weapon. And now there's no melee carry for them to kind of really use the active camo against, but at the same time, it's not going to diminish his damage output whatsoever.
Kind of interesting that that Fuji didn't actually pick the rhyme. No, that's just it's.
Rhymes versus Scarfs apparently just don't really have that good an engage, because the Fan the Flames will just continually tick down. It was something that Ro mentioned a little bit earlier. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see him on the Rhyme. That's like his hero. I don't know why you would call it Rhyme anymore. It just should be Fuji in Hero Select. But yeah, I can understand that they didn't want to do it into this double ranged.
That was a good idea. Well, they're just still doing a good job of poking. They have lost their turret, but they are still staying in the fight there. Now Iraqi Zoro has that Eve of Harvest. He's got that extra sustain and lifesteal that he needs to stay in the fight just a little bit longer. And Wrecked also has that fountain that's been keeping them on the back foot in the fights in the past.
Wrecked actually picked up an infusion, a level 8 infusion. Now, he does actually have that anchor ready to go, but he didn't throw it down on top of Sweet Generous because, that's not really the target you wanted to land on. T-Tigers would definitely be a lot more appealing, but if you threw it out now, it's very likely also to get reflex blocked.
Yeah, so we do see all Gate Viz anti-taggers with the reflex block, which is nice to see, especially when there are so many potential for stuns, and of course the Force Accord there. Sweet Generous is going to be going for that Crucible, which is going to be absolutely imperative for them if Wrecked manages to catch all three of them with that Force Accord.
Yeah, the Force Accord is definitely the big ticket item that we're looking for blocks. Now, the gold mine is going to go out, decent gold payout to Gankstars, and that's going to go to just bridge the gap in this goal just a little bit, 2,000 or so between teams. As I said, it's not unwinnable from either side, but it's definitely favoring Kinetic just a little bit more. And we got about 2 minutes or so to the Kraken make their appearance.
Daggers is doing a good job with the poking, but Fuji and Rekt are just going to hang around in the lane with Iraqi Zoro, kind of just adding that extra pressure onto T-Tigers.
Rakizoro is actually behind in farm by about 10 or so. T-Tigers has just been on top of that harass and has made himself, you know, not a huge lead when it comes to those last hits, but it's definitely noticeable.
He's been fairly consistent throughout the whole match so far. I think so around 2 or 3 minutes he's already drew that 10 CS lead, and he's been able to maintain it quite well. So we saw it very early on. He was doing an excellent job of harassing against Iraqi Zoro, just constantly poking away there.
Ooh. That one
8-7.
hit actually hit, yeah, it's T-Tigers, 700, my goodness.
That's having forced T-Tigers to go home, and this is a good chance for Gankstars Sirius to be pushing that turret down, because Gabe Fizzle and Sweet Generous, although they're quite powerful, there isn't much they can do to clear the wave, because the pushing power of Gankstars Sirius right now is very strong.
Well, if Gankstars had a wave, they might have actually been able to do that, but unfortunately it's just now fashionably showing up late. That's actually going to be the hook. The core collapse does not actually seem to do its mark here for Sweet Generous, so the combo is now out. Now it looks like the disengage. We might just leave Rekt to his own fate. Fuji already has just been chunked down so heavily, and well, he's going to turn around. One shot does not hit, and Iraqi is just not part of this anymore. Fuji's going to be burning, and that's going to be it for Rekt there as well. And Kinetic, they weather that storm very easily, it seems.
It was a really nice fight there. So although Sweet Generous got hooked in at the start, he was able to reflex block and prevent any further damage from happening. Recognized the opportunity for engage, released the attack of the pack, and that's what they needed. So we saw the Warren coming out, kind of jumping straight onto Fuji there, which they needed to do is mitigate any damage coming out from him. And that was an excellent fight they picked out. They were able to get 2 turrets at the back of that, increasing the gold lead now to 5k.
So not only is it 3 kills, but 2 turrets and perhaps a Kraken and a pear tree.
Pear tree.
Christmas? Nothing? Okay.
It's Easter.
Wow, I'm not even going to open that can of worms right now. But 3-7 for score, and the Kraken, I mean, she's here. She is ready to go. One more bad fight, and now missing so many turrets. Gankstars might find themselves down 0-1 in this best of 5.
We do see all the infusions coming up, but Sweet Generous is looking a little bit low on energy. He doesn't have the attack of the pack ready, but when he does use a lot of the claw, that's going to take away quite a significant chunk. So maybe they shouldn't be looking for a fight right now, but it doesn't look like we're going to see Gankstars Series kind of venturing much further. So this is a good opportunity for Kinetic to be going for that Kraken right now.
T-Tigers takes another 670 damage for his trouble, but Gabe Fizzle's got him back with that heal. It's almost like it didn't happen. Minion Mine, though, will go the way of Fuji, but I mean, that's not a Kraken, man. There's no vision, it seems, really at all here from the team on the left, because I don't see any blue traps, and this Kraken, there's just nothing they can do about it now.
Yeah, they're fully infused. They have the ace buff, so they're fully recharged with all the energy. This is the push that they need to get those last 2 turrets down, and they've been playing very dominantly so far. We've not actually seen Gabe Fizzle land another Verse of Judgment, which is the one that everybody was praising about in the last game against Velocity. But he's just been doing very well with the healing and the buffing so far. There goes the attack of the pack.
No, Fuji was actually leading that attack of the pack right there. He just pieced immediately out. Rekt is going to go down, and now Sweet Generous for sure. He's going to get that stun, but it's just a massacre. Gankstars is not alive for this defense for another 27 seconds. And there's a Kraken with a fully powered Kinetic team now going to be coming down on top of this crystal. I think we can safely say, Shinyi, that this is going to be game number 1, and Kinetic making it look rather easy.
Yeah, the Kraken hasn't even taken any damage so far. They've made it look so easy. Gankstars Series were on fire in their semi-final match against TSM. It looked like they were unbeatable, but the Kinetic are just raised that bar even higher with a kind of almost flawless game there.
So you did mention, Gabe Fizzle against former teammates. He's not holding back here.
Played with him for so long. He obviously knows them really well. I think Iraqi Zara was the longest teammate that he's been with so far, and he's transitioned so well into the jungle role. He obviously knows their playstyle very well, and that's just such good information to add to the table there.
We need to get somebody other than Celeste. I mean, she was just way too immobile. Just did not look like she was able to do the damage that she needed to, and the setups were just really not there. Like, as soon as we had those reflex blocks, it looked like it was just game over. There was never a single combo from Gankstars Sirius that really kind of hit the mark, and they paid for it with only getting 3 kills in the game.
Yeah, they had the potential to chain the stuns so well, but also the problem was they were against a double crystal comp, and they didn't have that much shield. So I think less there with the two light shields, that isn't actually much defense